Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. It's time to take a look at global business updates. Rotus Odiri is here with us. Rotus, what do you have?
Good morning again. Yeah, of course, we begin in Asia. The markets are pretty bearish to start this Tuesday. So across the board, indexes in China, in South Korea, in Japan, you can see they're all red. So, I mean, look, traders, it seems like there's some profit taking because these indexes have done pretty well so far this year. But they'd actually opened the trading day on the green side, but then, things started to go a little awry. So it's a mixed bag for Asia. South Korea inflation, that was released early this morning, coming into 2%. August forecast was 2%. July was at 2 points. You can see month on month below there, 0.4. The forecast was for 0.3. ByteDance is apparently, according to reports, is looking to get a loan, $9.5 billion loan facility, ex-Japan, will be one of the largest that we've seen in Asia recently. The coordinators apparently are Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. It's a 3-year tenor with a possibility to extend up to 5 years. They want to refinance an existing $5 billion loan. And as you know, ByteDance, which is of course the parent company of TikTok, and what's the other one, Duong or something in China, they want to expand into AI and also e-commerce. Huawei is looking to upstage Apple. I've not, this is no secret here, I'm really excited for the iPhone 16 that is going to be announced on September the 9th. So this is Richard Yu. I think he posted this on Weibo, which is, I guess, the Twitter version of in China. It says, Huawei's leading innovative and disruptive product is here. This is an epoch-making product that others have thought of but cannot make. After 5 years of investment, Huawei has turned science fiction into reality. We don't know exactly what Huawei is planning on putting forward, but we do know that essentially this is going to happen on September the 10th. So the Apple event is on the 9th of September. Well, this is, I think, 2:30 p.m. Beijing time, which will probably be in the evening over in the United States. We go to Volkswagen, as they are facing a plethora of issues. Apparently, in their 87-year history, this is like the first time they are considering closing down factories in Germany. There's a number of things. I mean, consumer spending has gone down in Germany. Latest GDP figures, Germany has been teetering on the edge of recession. You have electric vehicle sales that are falling, most of which because of China has flooded the European market, so that has impacted them. They're also facing pressure from unions, so there's possible wage disputes. And generally, as they're calling Germany the sick man or sick woman of Europe, things have just been pretty tough. There's a quote here from Oliver Bloom, who is the CEO of Volkswagen. He said in a statement that the economic environment that's in Germany has become even tougher, and new players, that is could be not to China, are pushing into Europe. Germany as a business location is falling further behind in terms of competitiveness. Also, the German Economic Ministry put out a statement to this effect, and again, nodding towards what's happening with China. That's the Economic Affairs and Climate. It said the automotive industry is facing major challenges worldwide and is undergoing a profound transformation. I think that's a nod towards electric vehicles that requires companies to make strategic decisions. It is essential that companies and management act responsibly and in close consultation with their social partners. So they're looking at the social side, job losses, unemployment, and the like. Dr. Abati brought this up yesterday. Brazil, of course, Dr. Abati previewed the Supreme Court decision over in Brazil with respect to the upholding the closure of X office there in Brazil. So the Supreme Court has upheld it. X is currently closed or banned, if you will, because Elon Musk refused to reveal the names of certain accounts that were spreading disinformation. Elon Musk, of course, this free speech absolutist, said he wouldn't do it. But it should be noted that in Turkey and in India, X complied with requests from governments to close down accounts of opposition figures there when they were going through their elections and so on. So there's a bit of hypocrisy here from Elon Musk. And he never talks about China. China, of course, as you know, X is not even allowed to operate there. Saudi. He never talks about the Saudis. He's always big. He's been, demonizing the Brazilians and saying that, the judges are going to be, arrested and so on. But when it comes to China, Saudis, and Turkey and India, he gets mute. Jeff Bezos, a billionaire like Elon Musk who doesn't talk much. This was trending yesterday. This is his $80 million Gulfstream 700. It was parked somewhere in California. They got wind of it. It is the fastest, top-of-the-line Gulfstream jets. Jeff Bezos this is a man where I think for what was it, 20 years, Amazon didn't make a profit. He was steadfast, e-commerce giant. So yeah, the video here has got about 3-4 million views. And of course, we come to Nigeria. We've already talked about this. Front page of today's This Day newspaper, Nigeria's newspaper of record. For the first time, 28 years, Nigeria begins production of petrol at the Dangote Refinery. And also, still on oil and gas news, UTM FLNG, run of course by Julius Rone. They've gotten a letter here, as you see, from the NMDPRA, Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, a ceremony for the handover of the license to construct for that 2.8 million floating LNG project, Nigeria's first. Earlier, they said that they would be reaching a FID, that's final investment decision, in the fourth quarter of this year. So look, it's a day of good news for, mixed to good news for Nigeria's oil and gas sector, because we're a gas giant. UTM FLNG is going to play a critical role. NNPC, of course, has a stake in that project as well, in terms of being able to export LNG across the world. So, again, good day for oil and gas in Nigeria.
I mean, I'm excited about that Rone's deal, because when the Russia-Ukrainian war started and a lot of gas was, stifled to going into Europe, we're always saying we could be the ones that bridge the gap. And since we couldn't just connect the pipelines, floating LNGs and LPGs were the way to go. So I'm excited about this, and probably he can still make some good traction in the market, and it's a good one. And it's just an all-round developmental time for Rone. Rone recently was awarded, by the Shekiri people, a very prestigious award at the Oba's third coronation anniversary. Another story making the rounds, and I'm excited you talked about, is what Germany is facing now. Isn't it interesting? Because this was what Germany too used to do. Used to eat lunch of other people.
Exactly.
With the auto industry, with the Aldis of this world, the Volkswagens of this world, which actually means the people's car. Volks means, the folks, and Wagen means wagon, car. And at the height of those companies, they had a lot of state funding and support by the likes of Adolf Hitler.
That's true.
And it was in those days they were able to accelerate. And that's why you had other people like Ferdinand Porsche, which was a Volkswagen engineer going to start up his Porsche and the likes. And
which is a unit of Volkswagen.
Yeah. And even after the war, those industries had a lot of subsidies and support from the Americans. If you remember each of Berliner's speech by President Kennedy and the support they gave for Germany to be able to start up again. But that's the same support. Now China is giving the likes of BYD and its auto companies. The question is, when is Nigeria's government going to give our own businesses that support? There is SAGLEV there. Can the Nigerian government give a subvention or subsidy to the likes of SAGLEV, the likes of Nord Motors, the likes of Innoson, to be able to jumpstart the automotive sector?
I would support that subsidy.
That is the subsidy that to be able to jumpstart the automotive, we also need energy subsidy.
Right, true.
There's no nation that will go without energy. That's why the closest one now is fuel subsidy. We have to pay it one way or the other, or people will suffer. I don't want people to suffer. So you need to be able to give those companies subsidy to be able to top the line and start to do well in the first place. We'll start to complain because competition will eat your lunch.
True.
Right. First of all, with regards to Elon Musk and what's going on in Brazil, the truth is that Brazil has quite a huge share of subscribers, so it would hit. I don't know to what extent, and I don't know, like you mentioned, since he's been able to...
They say 40.
They say 40.
Well, in terms of percentage, I think about 20% of their total.
Oh, yeah, so it's about quite a... So
big.
215 million population, 40 million subscribers, and a number of them have moved on to competitive...
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky is one of them, and Blue Sky has even come out to say, oh, good choice, he made the right one, capitalizing on that. I don't know to what extent Elon Musk will continue to hold up his ideals of free speech at the expense of his business.
He'll do it, yeah.
I say, he will do, yeah, because his business is hurting. A number of countries, it's not just Brazil who've clamped down and said that, if you're not going to be transparent or shut down. And this is the conversation I'd had with Rufai a few days back about free speech. When does free speech become harmful? And when should it be the responsibility of platform owners to be able to clamp down or pull down, it was with regards to Pavel Durov, when we're talking about Telegram, and to what extent the owner should take responsibility for what goes up on his page, and also information or stopping hate speech, terrorists, criminals from thriving on their platform. There's still, conversations around that. Was the call by Brazil altruistic? Was it really to fight crime, or just as a result of targeting political enemies? Because it was from the previous administration. Right. They said those people were from the previous administration. Bolsonaro's administration. But I think the big question for a number of businesses then would be that fight against this is our business policy, and then governments interfering. We've seen that a number of times. And then my concern is then for it not to be the norm for countries. Recall when under the Buhari administration, X was also Twitter at the time, as it was known, was banned in Nigeria. So it then becomes a measure for some countries, some dictators, to clamp down on free speech, citing, terrorism, you're promoting hate speech. Look at what's happening in Nigeria with the end bad governance and people being held for terrorism. So that's my concern. But business must be business. I don't know how long he will stay on this because it's hurting his business. Okay.
The Supreme Court, panel of 5, they have 2 panels in the Brazil Supreme Court. So Alexandre de Moraes asked his colleagues to take a look at the decision he has taken. What have they upheld? They've said X must have legal representative in Brazil, otherwise it cannot, respond to charges of misinformation and hate speech. 2, that the company has to block certain accounts that have been identified. X refused, with Elon Musk calling de Moraes a dictator. Yesterday's decision by the panel of 5 justices, of which Moraes was also a member, was a victory for Alexandre de Moraes. What are the additional things that have been upheld? 1, that Apple and Google, operating in Brazil, should remove X from either their iOS or whatever, otherwise they will be penalized. 2, that nobody, no individual or company should assume that they can go to virtual private network, what is called VPN. And if you do it, you could pay a fine of as much as $8,000 plus. 3, Blue Sky now has a space in Brazil, which used to be one of X's largest markets. And the person who led that shift is, of course, President Lula da Silva. And that should not be surprising, because the far right, the Bolsonaro, wing, is in support of Elon Musk. But the main thing for me in that judgment yesterday was the statement made by one of the justices, Flavio Dino, which I think may also be relevant beyond Brazil. He says the freedom of expression is closely linked to the duty of responsibility. One cannot exist without the other, and vice versa. In other words, you are free to express yourself, but you must do so in a responsible manner. So another subject, Bitcoin went down 10.5. Yep. But, we're told that it could even get worse in September. It could jump from $58,000 down to, $50,000 or even below. Yeah. So that's why we have seen that drop in the value of Bitcoin and Ethereum, which also followed that pattern. So Huawei and Apple is going to launch a new iPhone, September 9. Yes. Huawei is going to follow almost immediately. Yes. And Richard Yu, the CEO of Huawei, is saying that, in fact, they are going to turn science fiction into reality. So, you like phones, maybe you'll be the first to get it around here, and you'll tell us what it is all about. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rotus.
Thank you.